Well, hello everyone, and how nice of you to join my workshop today. I'm going to wait for 1 more minute because I know there are some people still trying to get in. But in about 30 seconds, I'm going to start this workshop. Well, then also welcome to all the people that just joined in. Welcome to my workshop. My name is Rob, and I'm really proud to be presenting the story about the Agora School today. But I'm also really proud that I'm here to represent a really inspiring group of professionals who are working at Agora every day, and I can tell also their story today. First of all, I would like you to have a look at the picture in front of you, because this is the building I am working in every day. And this one is designed to create an environment to start learning what really matters. That's also the name of this workshop today. For the first 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to start talking about why and how we created the Agora School. But in the meantime, I would like to challenge you all to build your experience. I'm not sure that I will find the time in the end to really reflect on this exercise, but then again, it's a playful event. So I would like you all to take something that's in your neighborhood, and it might be some Legos, some 6 bricks, but maybe also some pen, paper, cardboard, scissors, glue, stickers, whatever you have lying around. And in the end, maybe you can share something with me about that experience that you had. First of all, then, I would like to start talking about these 4 guys in this picture, because these are actually the 4 founding fathers of Agora. And about 10 years ago, they sat together while being teachers, team leads, or head teachers at their own high schools for a very long time. They said things need to be different because we see so many children that are unmotivated in our schools, and the amount of joy happening in front of us every day is getting smaller and smaller. So we have to change this. So they started building on this idea in 2013, and they worked with some politics to create an opportunity for a group of highly motivated teachers to start this new school. Then in 2014, they had the opportunity to start with 34 students. And, oh, I see someone saying there's some echoes. If there are more people having an echo, please let me know. Otherwise, I will continue. But then in 2014, they started with 34 students. And now, 9 years later, we have 350 students in our school, and there are 23 other schools in the Netherlands and Belgium that are teaching with the Agora philosophy as well. So we are really proud of that. Then, what is it that these 4 guys came up with? Well, first of all, they said to those teachers, if you start this school, the pupils are not to be divided in smaller groups, and especially not by age or learning levels. Also, they said, students are not measured on the outcome, but we want to let them reflect on their own processes and make a safe environment in which they feel free to make mistakes. Also, there was not allowed to be a schedule and no traditional lessons. Then also students were not allowed to be treated equally. And that is a very important thing to us. They also said, if we walk into the school, we want to see that every child is learning in his own way. Really important to us. But also, the learner should be in the lead. And this all based on the theory of Ryan and Daisy. And obviously that's the self-determination theory, which says if a student has enough autonomy, they feel competent and they have relatedness with the material that they're learning, then motivation will start. And don't forget, we are a public funded school, age 12 to 18. So every student that wants to start is free to come in and join. Okay then, what is playful learning to us? We hope that if you walk into our building and you see our students, you will see that students are joyful. They enjoy learning and they have fun. But also their learning processes should be meaningful. The students should feel that what they learn makes sense to them and they feel connected with that. They should be socially interactive. You should see students that are experimenting and feel comfortable to make mistakes. But also students that have curiosity and they want to discover and wonder the world that they live in. From there, we believe that every child wants to learn. And for us, it's really important that we never lose that confidence. And from there, we want to assist our students to be always able to answer these questions for themselves and also to grow and become better in answering these questions. Because we want them to find out, who am I? What is it that I can do? But also, what is it that I want? I want to learn. Okay, that's the philosophy behind Agora. But how does it work? Imagine these carrots. But then at the time that they were still a small seed and they were put in the ground by a farmer. Well, I can tell you, I am not a farmer. But I can tell you one thing, what the farmer is definitely not doing, and that is touching that seed or even the carrot when it starts growing too much. And most of all, he's not going to stand on top of it and he's going to start pulling those leaves because he knows he will disrupt the growing process. So what is it that he does? He is responsible for creating the most ideal circumstances as possible for these carrots to grow in. Then look at these sponges in this picture. Because the sponges that are in the water there, they have the capacity to soak up the water. The only thing you have to do is take that sponge and put it in the water, and it will start soaking up the water by itself. Also really important, don't squeeze too hard into the sponge because again will stop the process of soaking up the water. If we translate that to the sponges inside of those little heads of these very cute babies, we believe that we have to do the same thing. We have to create the most and safe ideal circumstances, and we believe that those sponges will soak up the knowledge and experiences that they need for the rest of their lives and to be successful. Okay, based on those thoughts, we're going to have a look on how the environment then should look like at an Agora school. To begin with, it should be a place where our students can play. They can have fun with their friends. It also should be like a marketplace where you meet other people, where you can interact with other people, but it should also be a place where the whole world comes together. Small bits and pieces of the whole world, one place, and if you walk around, you can see that and you can enter that world. From there, be motivated or get curious about that part of the world. It also should be like a quiet place, a place where you can meditate, a place where you can reflect, maybe come up with new ideas and share them with your friends to start working on those ideas. And it should be like a workspace where you can create, where you can be creatively, and your work is going to be visible for other people to be inspired. But also you can be there to be inspired by your peers and by your friends who have also made awesome stuff. And in the end, it should be like a university library containing all the knowledge of the world. But then again, we have all these very cool devices that have a connection with the internet. So as soon as you know where to find the information, all the information is very close by. Okay, then if you create those circumstances and we create a safe environment for our students, then we start with the question, what is it that you want to learn, do, or create? And preferably we start with the question, what do you want to make or create? Because if you make something, if you create something, you definitely will do something and you will learn something. And again, for us, it's really important in that process to treat everyone unequally with the greatest amount of respect. Okay, let's go and make it a bit more practical. I want to explain how we work every day with this analogy about a skate park. Because imagine that this skate park is the world we open up for our students. And they have the opportunity to grow up and succeed on these objects. Then every object in this skate park could be a different thing that our students can discover in the world. These students arrive at the skate park and they just obviously want to learn new things, but also they just want to play, they want to have fun, and they want to have fun together. There will be this guy, for example, on a skateboard, and he's there to assist these students. Also, from the starting point, for him, it's really important to treat everyone unequally, because maybe some of these guys have some experiences on some object already because they have a skate park at home, but maybe other students don't have this. But for sure, all these students have different qualities and they have a different personality. Then once on the skate park, they meet also other professionals. And the most important job of these professionals, again, is to create a safe environment in which these students feel safe to make mistakes, but also in which they can learn to succeed on all those different objects. Then from there, all of these professionals, they ask the students questions because they really want to get to know these kids. For them, that's really important. So then they can give the proper feedback, they can answer their questions, but also they can show how it's been done to create some motivation and some inspiration for our students. At that time, the professional in the beginning stays beside the students at all time. And he's assisting them to try all the objects on the skate park. But also he's assisting them together with his colleagues, the other professionals, to succeed on all different objects. Well, the students will be challenged. And at the same time, these professionals will ask, what kind of qualities or talents are you showing in these objects then? And why is it that you like this one more than the other one? And why is it that this one suits you better than the other one? After answering those questions, it's then that the students have to decide which objects do I like the most, but also which of these objects suit me as a person the best. That process might take in our school months, maybe 1 or 2 years, because we want them to try every object as much as they can, so they make a decision on which of these objects they will start focusing for their future. Which of these objects suits their future the best. At that point, if they made a decision, they will meet a different expert, who is also an expert on the object that they chose to become an expert in themselves. And this person is then responsible to help these students to become an expert, but also show to the rest of the world that they are an expert. Okay, enough with this analogy. Let's now go into real life and retranslate all the objects of the skate park into these 20 learning perspectives that have been designed by Leiden University. At that university, there's a team led by Professor Fred Jansen, and they created these 20 learning perspectives as an alternative to the Dutch books and courses used to cover the Dutch national curriculum. Maybe you might even recognize some of these perspectives because you are teaching that subject at your school. Well, the innovative thing is that we don't use these perspectives to prepare lessons or projects designed for our students. What we do is we ask our students a random topic that is really interesting to them. A topic or a theme or a subject that they find interesting. Then the job for us is to find the right person that can ask the right questions while this person is looking at the object from a professional perspective. Then we can challenge the students not only to find the answer to these questions, but also to come up with a cool paper or a presentation, or even better, an art piece that shows what these students have learned. Then at that point, over time, students try all of these perspectives, and it is our job that we succeed, that all these students cover all these 20 perspectives, and this way we can assure that we cover the whole Dutch national curriculum, while the students are learning more about their own interests. Okay, so far, the whole idea behind Agora. Then now let's go to an example on how we use these 20 learning perspectives. This is an example of one of my students, and he came to me and he said, okay, Rob, I am a big fan of Harry Potter. And more specific, I like acromantulas. And I want to know more about these blood-eating, flesh-eating spiders that are part of the storyline of Harry Potter. Well, at least the last bit is what he told me. And then I also knew that he hasn't been focusing on the biological perspective that much. So I sent him to my colleague, who's actually a biology teacher, and he asked him these questions. For example, what would the food chain of the Forbidden Forest look like? Or what would the ecosystem of the Forbidden Forest look like? And at that point, this student, he got really motivated to learn about food chain or about the ecosystem and what that means. And those words are part of the Dutch national curriculum that he actually has to learn. Okay, so far my explanation on how the Agora way of teaching works. Now let's go into the workshop part of this presentation, because I would like you all to come up with questions for my student as well. But for that, I would challenge you first to look at these 20 perspectives and pick out the perspective that suits you as a professional the most. And then maybe also if some colleagues or friends sitting around, you can ask the questions that you come up with in the Q&A chat of this Teams meeting. It says, if you have any questions, or if you have typed them over here, you can go to the Q&A. And if you do that, I think we can all see the questions popping up. If you have some other questions, I would like to ask you to wait with those until the end of this workshop. But for the next maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes, I would like to challenge you all to come up with some questions and put them in the chat. Oh, good. In the meantime, you might hear some kids screaming in the background because obviously I'm at this really cool school in Billund. But the first questions are popping up in the chat. And the first question that I can see is obviously designed while looking to the language perspective. And it is, how does the spider communicate? And someone says lifespan, so I reckon it should be, what's the lifespan of such a acromantula? That's also interesting. Oh, cool. I like the mathematical perspective. Why is the creature commonly feared? That's also interesting. I wonder which perspective that is. Maybe the person who is now anonymous can type that in the chat as well. How fast, slow the spider can move or jump? Well, I think you can look at this at different perspectives. That's also really cool. Vanessa says, how big does the living area of the spider needs to be? Can you relate to this to another animal or creature? Also really interesting. And obviously, I'm going to take all these questions and back home to my student so he can use that to build on his challenge, of course. Maybe while creating questions for this spider, you can also choose a different topic over a different object that you are interested yourself and come up with questions as well. Oh. Okay, questions are flying in now. Amazing. There are some amazing questions in here, but I would also like people to be a bit playful, maybe use some creativity to come up with some playful questions. Let's see if people can do this. which material is the best to create an acromantula? How does this material compare to others? Well, we're getting a bit creative. Yeah, mathematical. How big is the spider and how many times does it fit into you? Yeah, that's part of the Dutch curriculum. Well, okay, for now, I see so many questions coming in. So thank you very much for participating in this part. I have 1 or 2 more slides left. And from there, we go into a Q&A. So maybe there's some people having some questions about the Agora way of teaching. So we have some more questions that you really would like to share with us. Please feel free during the next few minutes to also put them in the chat. But in the meantime, I will continue. And now I want to have a look at this picture, because you can imagine if we put these challenges, these questions into plan, do, check, act cycluses, then we like to challenge our student to work through such a plan, do, check, act cycle at least once a week. Maybe if it's a bigger challenge with more questions, they have to finish it in 2 weeks. In that way, if you look at this picture, we create a setting in which we really challenge our students to be playful while choosing the topic and also choosing the perspectives that they want to approach in their challenge. Also, we want them to talk to their teacher or coach to make sure they put themselves out of their comfort zones. And also, we want them to think about the best learning strategies that they have to answer those questions. And then in the end, we want to help them to create something really interesting, really cool, that they can present to other people so they can shine into the world and show how proud they are of what they have learned. And at the same time, we can reflect on them with them on their product to make visible what they actually learned by doing this cycle. And then in the meantime, we have these 4 guys, the professionals, hanging around, and they are responsible for creating enough inspiration, asking the right questions. They're also responsible for answering the questions if needed. Make sure there are enough sources, best living sources, because we also want to train our students to work in a network. Because if you want to be a lifelong learner, you need the right people around you that can create for you the right circumstances to learn in. So building a network is part of the responsibility of these guys. Okay, then I want to have a look at the biggest challenges that we have at the moment as a school, but also our biggest successes. And to start, as a challenge, you can imagine there's no one who can teach us how we are doing this every day. Also, we are still evolving and growing as a team as well. So that's one of the challenges. How do we become better ourselves without having someone to help us or tell us how it's been done? And also, because we have this huge heart for our students, and we talk to our students quite a lot, we have the tendency to talk a bit more about student-oriented matters than subject matter-oriented talks. So for us, it's really important to keep that balance and make sure we keep focusing on the subject matter as well. But then, what are our biggest successes? Well, I think if you walk into our building, then you will see that our kids are having fun while learning. And you will see that almost all of our students are not afraid to make mistakes. They feel free to try, to experiment, and also be curious and wander into the world to discover new things. And in the end, I think what is our biggest success? I think our students are learning what really matters. They all can tell the things that they are doing. Why is it important to me that I'm learning this? And why do I need this for my future? And to me, that's the biggest success of Agora. Well, Now I have this video prepared. Well, actually, I didn't prepare this. I asked 3 of my students to prepare a video of 3 or 4 minutes. And please wait with scanning for 1 second, because these students got for me the assignment to tell you how does your day look like at Agora. For now, for the last 7 minutes, I would like to invite you or to watch this YouTube video at the moment, or just scan it and put on pause. And if you have some questions, this is the time to put them in the Q&A, and I might be able for the last 7 minutes to answer some questions as well. And if you are going to look at this video and you're not going to return, then I would like to thank you for coming. And if you do have some questions, please feel free to look me up over LinkedIn or on my website, so we can contact and maybe I can answer some more of your questions. And for now, I'm going to have a look at, let's see, at the questions that you might have. Sorry, I also had the video in here, but time is running out. So if there are some questions, please pop them in the Q&A. Where can we find the 20 perspectives? Well, if you go to the website of the University of Leiden University, or you just go to Google and you type in 20 learning perspectives, Fred Jansen, that's professor of Leiden University, I reckon you will find some information about that. And if not, feel free to contact me later. Then is this type of education suited for all learners? Also students with learning disabilities? Well, for us, we see and we design this for all students. Obviously, we are public school, so everyone can join at our school, and we're not done. So at the moment, you will see that for some students, they struggle a bit more than other students. But in the end, yes, we are trying to design this way of teaching for all learners. So also for students who have some disabilities. And if not, we have to look at what it is that we can do to help them. But yes. How many children are in the school? How many teachers? Well, at the moment, we have 315 students, and we have divided them in rooms of 60. And in every room, there are then between 3 and 5 teachers, depending on how many days a week they work, that are helping or assisting the students in the learning processes. The number for that is at our school at the moment 1 to 18. How do they apply to colleagues? How do they apply to university after this? Well, our students, they do the same national curriculum exams as all the other students in the Netherlands. So in the end, they are prepared in the same way as all other students in the Netherlands. So depending on what learning level they want to do their exams, they stay with us for 4, 5, or 6 years. They take the national exams and they just go to universities as all other students in the Netherlands would do. Yeah, then about the routines. I definitely would encourage you to watch the YouTube video that 3 of my students made. But what you will see of the daily routines is that all our students start at 9. And there are some exceptions, but they start at 9 and they work until 3. And there are some breaks in the meantime. And once a day, for half an hour, we sit together in a group between 15 and 20 students. And then they have to talk to each other, collaborate regarding which challenges they work on, because we also stimulate them to work together on challenges, obviously. And also once a day, for half an hour, there's a reading half an hour. And then you will see that the whole school is quiet and everyone is reading their books for half an hour. And for the rest of the days, the students, they plan their own day. So they have ownership over their own Google Calendar, and they make appointments with me, with other colleagues, and we help them to achieve that. Is there direct correlation between the approach to learning and following a career path of their choice? Yeah, for sure. Because while using these 20 perspectives, you can imagine we always, like I tried to tell in the skateboard analogy, we ask these students, do you like this perspective? Do you like looking through this glass, to these glasses, to this topic? And why then? And if students feel that they really feel that they like a typical part of learning. Then we ask them, how could you use this information about yourself for your future? This also helps them to discover what they would like to do later in life. Yeah. Well, that's a good question. The expert, are they all members of staff and are they outside visitors invited? Well, two questions. The first question, like I said, we want to stimulate students to step into the world, step outside of the building and start looking for experts outside. In the end, if they want to do the final exams, they need teachers for that. But in the beginning, if they are discovering the world, if they're discovering, finding out what they actually like, which perspectives suits them, we encourage them to go outside, maybe through parents or other people in our network, and find people that really know something about the topic that they are interested in. Yes, I think in 90 seconds, I have to close and this workshop. I hope you all enjoyed it and have a playful time in the rest of the conference. And again, if you would like to contact me, feel free to look me up over LinkedIn or another platform. Bye-bye.